This is a Saturday morning seminar series that we're inviting you to, and we're going to cover a bunch of topics, and we hope it will be of interest to you. The first thing, we like to call this the 12-step road to riches, because we like to take you down this path from ground zero to the end of the trail, where you gradually learn more and can use more and apply more and make more with it. So let's start with the section 1, which is starting out from ground zero. Everybody's got to start somewhere. I don't care what you do, there'll be that first day, and that first day you'll be feel as dumb as you've ever felt in your world. How many times, how many people can remember the first time you sat down at a computer? First time. And what do you do first? And back in those days, you had to when I started, you had to put about 3 discs in to get it to go, to get it just cranked up. Then you put the disc in you wanted to work with. And you had to know which sequence, but when you got it out of the box, just hadn't looked at it. You just looked at it for about a week or two, and it didn't do anything. And finally, I got embarrassed about mine. I flew all the way to Houston and took a course on turning on the computer, $400, turning on your computer, and explained that the disk is the real computer. The rest of stuff's just machinery, and you better have the right disk. So this is the same way with real estate. You start out and you say, okay, I'm going to be in real estate. Now, here we go. What do we do first? What's the very first thing you do? You don't achieve much more with anything you do than you expect to achieve. And somewhere before you start writing checks and start getting involved with things, ask yourself what you really hope to achieve by getting into real estate. What's the end object? You just want to do something besides have a regular job? That's certainly legitimate. If you never made a penny that you saved in real estate and you could live off of it, it's still a lot better than a regular job. How many people have heard about all these guys that were promised these great big pensions, then the companies merged the pensions out of existence, or their directors or officers stole them like a can of lay and ran off with the money, or they just plain reneged on the pensions because the companies were broke, filed bankruptcy. Ever heard about that? I think probably the most legitimate thing you do to get in this business would be to provide for your own financial security. I would think that'd be the only reason you're here. And if there's some financial security, I don't mean during the years when you can make all the money you want to make. I mean the years when you can no longer make that level of income. Anybody flew for United Airlines? Anybody? And United Airlines declared that they couldn't pay their pension, so they turned all their money over to ERISA, the government agency. And ERISA decided airline pilots were making way too much money. They cut them down to 25 cents on a dollar. Now, you've worked all your life. You're 60 years old. They throw you out of the business because it's 60. They throw you out. And you go home for your comfortable retirement check, and a government agency who didn't put 10 cents into your life shows up and says, we don't think you should have that much pension. So instead of having $85,000 a year, we're going to let you have $21,000 a year. And what are you qualified for? If you can't fly airplanes, what are you qualified for? Walmart. You're qualified to be a greeter at Walmart. And I'm not kidding. That's about it. That's about your only skill. And you remember that people renege on the promises every day of the week. And if you take accountability for your own future and make it an article of faith for you, I'm going to provide for myself. I'm not going to rely on another person but me. Then it's because mathematically how much you have to achieve. And I started at age 40, decided I had to take care of myself. So I was in a big hurry. If you've got more years than that, then you can work slower. But you should be thinking about what can I do to do that if that's your goal. If your goal is to really be rich, and not work at all, have all kind of money, then you got to decide when that's supposed to be and where you are right now and how fast you have to run to get there. And I think I'll help you saying there are 0 shortcuts. There are none whatsoever. You're going to have to go down the same track everybody goes down, just got to run a lot faster and work a lot harder. And remember, there's 24 hours in every day, and you don't have to sleep unless you want to. You don't have to eat unless you want to. So you may find using a lot of those days up if you aim real high and start real late. It's a slippery slope, but that's your goal, and you've got to set what it is. So the first place is find out what you want to do. I think you can set very achievable goals. And in my case, I was 41 years old in a seminar, and it suddenly hit me that I was underachieving, underperforming, under meeting my own full promise to myself. I had so many skills I wasn't using, and I decided to set a goal I could imagine. That was in 1973. It was March 14th. It was just picked a day at random. And I said, I'm not going to sleep any day that I don't add $1,000 to my assets, not my net worth, to my assets, my gross assets. My head won't hit a pillow that night until I do that. And now that was 1973 prices. What do you suppose the number should be today? Should it be Let me tell you the house we're dealing with, $9,000, $10,000, $12,000 houses. Those very same houses are $150,000 today. So if you took a factor that says they should be maybe 15 times as high gold, would that not be $15,000 a day you'd add to your gross assets? Would that not be $450,000 a month you'd add to your gross assets? Because that was the level of that challenge at that time, $1,000 a day. So how did I meet that challenge? Right in that course. It was a Wednesday. It was a 6-day course. And a Wednesday, I didn't eat lunch. I went out and I optioned an office building for $60,000, which shows you what office buildings cost too. And I was 2 months ahead of my schedule, wasn't I? I'd added $60,000 to my assets, not my net worth. Now my reasoning was this: if I owe money and pay it off, I'll own what I owe. Does that make any sense? Just so elemental. If you owe money and pay it off, you'll always own what you owe. If you bought something that doesn't wear out or isn't consumed. So if you buy a hard asset and you finance it in such a way as you can make the payments, then one day it'll be your asset. And I put myself on a 30-year schedule. I said when I'm 70, I don't want to be lined up. They didn't have Walmart then. I don't want to be lined up in the poorhouse waiting for my dole of soup. I want to be solvent, and I'm willing to wait 30 years because I was much more nervous about being unemployed at 70 than it was being unemployed at 40, I promise you. And I said, I'm willing to wait 30 years. Well, later as I got into the business and learned something about it, I found out how to shorten that up. And I'll show you that, too, in this 12 Steps Road to Riches. But when you do that, you also want to do it in a way that you won't be ashamed of yourself. Anybody can steal. Just internalize that. Anybody can steal and get away with it. Only 3% of all the criminals that hold up 7-Eleven stores are ever caught, and only 3% of them ever go to jail. So if you want to steal for a living, don't come to these classes. Do something else. But if you say, I don't want to steal for a living, I want to see if I can't make it in a way that my children would not be ashamed of me, and my spouse would not be ashamed of me, and I could sit on the front row of the church and nobody behind me would be ashamed of me. And you get to set your own moral tone. You get to set your own ethical base. But if you make that one of your goals, I want to do this in a way that I will not be ashamed of myself, then you have to have certain rules. And we know what they are. There's a book out that says everything important I ever learned in the world, I learned in kindergarten. You know what that is. Don't lie, cheat, or steal. That's easy. That's not too hard. They got a lot of commandments out there. You can be in real estate business, and that one about adultery probably doesn't count. But it does in life. So you have to decide where you're going to be and how you want to make your money and how you want to feel about yourself, because I promise you, once you make the money, it'll disappear. It won't be important to you at all. It's only important until you get it. When you get it, it's not important. But what is important is how you feel about yourself, how you end up at the end of the trail, and how distant you are from all your friends and your family because you decide you take the short route and steal for a living instead of going out and making a living. So it's up to you how you do it.